I often see people wanting to normalize audio in Studio One, and what they'll do is select a clip like this one here. They'll right click, go down to audio, and then go up to normalize audio, and this is normalize this audio to 0 dB. In other words, what's happened is the gain has been increased on this audio until the highest peak is equal to 0 dB. But we don't always want to normalize our audio to 0 dB. So let me show you how I prefer to normalize when I want to do it in Studio One. Let's just undo what we did there. This time I've got my clip selected again, but I'm going to open up the inspector. So we do that by going to the top left here and clicking on the I button, okay? And that reveals this panel over here. Now here's something you may have missed. We can see the name of the track right the way down the bottom here, yeah, guitar main. And there's a tiny little divider here which you may have missed. Let's just drag that up, and now we can see there's a lot more values here than we could see before. And halfway down we can see a normalize and a gain control. So if I wanted to normalize this to say -3 dB, I can just click on the normalize button and then set the value in here to -3, hit enter, and now my audio has been normalized to -3 dB. Let's undo all of that again, and I'll show you that you can also do that to multiple clips at a time. So I'll actually select all of these three here by holding shift on my keyboard and then selecting them. Again, I'll normalize them down at the bottom here by clicking on the normalize button, and then I'll set this to, this time, -4 dB, okay? So they have all been normalized to -4 dB. This is the first of 5 Studio One secrets that I think you should know, and I'll be telling you about in the rest of this video. Hi folks, I'm Mike, and I hope you're well. Let me know in the comments down below if you didn't know about that normalize trick. Now, the next secret that I'm going to reveal to you may not change anything about the sound of your track, but I bet it's going to be one of your favorites. Have you ever noticed that when you're browsing plugins in Studio One and you open up the folders, you see the names of the plugins there and it looks okay, but when you actually open the folder for the PreSonus plugins, everything suddenly looks an awful lot sexier, doesn't it? And it has a functional purpose in actual fact, because it makes it a little bit easier to identify the plugins that you're after. Well, the good news is you can actually create thumbnails for any other plugins that you're using in Studio One. I'm going to do this with FabFilter Pro Q3. So I'll go to the FabFilter folder here. I'll open it up. We can see the boring list there. And what I'm going to do is grab an instance of FabFilter Pro Q3. I'm just going to drag it onto a track over here. It doesn't really matter. And then I'm just going to make some quick changes to it, yeah, to make it look like it's actually being used at all. And then what I'm going to do is go up to the top here, yeah, up to where it says the name of the plugin, and click on this little down arrow here. Click on there, and then go down to where it says update plugin thumbnail. Click on that, and you can see right over here on the right hand side, it's made a lovely thumbnail for that plugin. The good news is that thumbnail is going to be there in all projects you open from now on. Did you like that tip about the thumbnails? Here's another quick tip for you. If you subscribe to this channel now and ring the bell, you will get notified about my other videos, and they're all going to be about Studio One. Let's take a look at the automation for this guitar track, which we can see at the top here. I'm going to go over to the left hand side of it and just click on this little icon here to expand envelopes, or envelopes, depending which part of the world you're in. Now we can see there's already some automation there for volume, send level, and the global gain of the Pro EQ, which is applied there. I'm just going to drag out a box in this area here. So I'm just going to wait until I see that little cross cursor appear there, and then I'm just going to drag out a box across all 3 tracks. Now I'm just going to go to the top area of any of these 3 tracks until I see this kind of I-beam type cursor, and then I am going to drag down, and you can see that they're all moving in unison with each other. So it's a quick way to change the level of multiple automation lanes at one time. Now, if I were to do that over here where there's some existing automation, it will retain the envelope shape. So let's just again drag out a box across all 3 over that area, go to the top of the first one there and just drag up and down. And you can see that those envelope shapes are there. They're just moving there in relationship to each other. A really quick and easy way to adjust multiple automation lanes at one time. Setting up loops can be a little fiddly sometimes, but I'm going to show you a really quick way to loop particular sections of a song, especially when you've got clips that relate to those sections. So I want to loop around this section here where I've got this harmony. So I'm going to go down to the loop button at the bottom of the screen here, right click, and then click on loop follows selection, okay? And then I'm going to enable the loop feature by clicking on it, okay? It's turned blue there. Now, whenever I click on something like a clip like this, you'll notice that at the top, the loop has changed to that selection, okay? So it works on clips, or it could be when you sort of drag out specific areas like this, you will then loop to that selection. So very handy indeed and a quick way to set up loops. But when we right-clicked on that loop button, there was a couple of other options there that I think you should know about. Let's turn looping off for a moment. We'll right-click. Now, the first one I already have checked. It's my favorite way to have this set, and that is to return to start on stop. So you'll notice with that selected, I'm going to start playing in Studio One here. It's playing now, and then I'm going to stop, and you'll notice it's returned exactly to where I started playing from. So when I want to kind of manually listen to a particular section on the fly like that, very, very handy. So I can move to a different start position like so, hit play, and it'll go back to that new start position, okay? If you don't want it to do that, then just right click here on the loop button there and switch that off. And then when you play like so, and then stop, and start playing again, it will resume from where you stop. So it depends on what you're doing at the time or what your overall preference is. I'm going to turn that back on, and I'm also going to take a look at this second option, which is enable play start marker. Okay, this is similar but a little bit different. So I'll enable it, and you can see up at the top this green icon has appeared where my play head is. Now this means whatever happens, it's always going to start playing from there. So I'll play, and I'll stop, okay, and it goes back to there. Now, even if I start from a different play position, so I move the play head, say, all the way over here, it's all up there. When I click play, it does start from that green marker, no matter what. I can easily just drag it like so to a different position if I need to do that, and I can get rid of it by right-clicking on it and then selecting here, enable play starter marker. I'll just turn that off there like so, or you could do it by right-clicking on the loop button at the bottom of the screen. So here I have a fairly complex track, and it's got a combination of virtual instruments and also audio tracks as well. You can see them all here. And along the way, I've been experimenting somewhat with some virtual instrument tracks and ended up not using them. So I quickly want to just get rid of the unused track. You can do that by going down to the mix view and then clicking on the instrument button to reveal the instruments that are being used. And you can see the ones which are not being used there in gray here, okay? So all I need to do is go up to the top where this little drop down arrow is next to the Z, click on that, and then go down to remove unused. Click on that, and they are all removed from the project. You know, one of the great stock plugins which comes with Studio One is the Pro EQ2 plugin. Now, you may have used it and think you know all there is to know about it, but do you? I've made a video, and you can click on the thumbnail for it right here, which is going to tell you all there is to know about Pro EQ2. Go on, click on that thumbnail. You owe it to yourself.